Alrighty, so I haven't done a tier list in a little bit here, and I thought I'd go ahead and do one for the champions at the end of 2024, just ranking them and giving my overall thoughts and opinions on each champion in terms of skill. And as we can see here, the GOAT, question mark, also could be pound for pound number one, any way you want to slice it. You know, I've got very good here as, like, pretty good champions, like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 champions, and then we got meh is like the middle of the road, the 5s, the 6s. And then if PEDs didn't exist, he wouldn't be champ. Probably you can guess who I'm going to put in this tier right here. But, just being honest here, so there are some champions where it's like, if there was a little bit more testing in the pool, they definitely wouldn't be champion right now. And then Garbage will lose next fight. I've got a champion in mind that I might put down there, but we'll see, I guess. Just for reference, there are some of the champions here that I just didn't remove from the tier list. Like Leon Edwards, this guy's not going to get ranked, unfortunately, because he's no longer champion. And Sean O'Malley, even though I still believe he should be ranked as the champion, he's not the champion right now, so I'm not going to be ranking him either. Now, with that being said, let's get into the tier list. And this is all, of course, subjective opinion, whatever you want to say, subjective air quotes. But I do think, it's a pretty fun topic to discuss about champion rankings and, who really is the best champion right now, especially according to the pound for pound list. Now, that being said, let's get started with DDP. Now, DDP, the true African king, this little nugget of a man, he's not really a nugget, he's actually pretty big, but, he's a short stack when he's standing next to the MMA guru. Definitely not the GOAT. He is very good. Yeah. It's like, he did beat Strickland and Adesanya, but how good is Adesanya really? His legacy is Marvin Vettori twice, Robert Whittaker are good wins, but he whooped Robert Whittaker, to be fair, and he didn't need to grapple with Whittaker either. Yeah, but he did look like shit against Brunson, but he wasn't champ. Yeah, this one's hard, actually. I think I'm going to put him at very good. I think DDP is very good. I think he's a solid 8 out of 10 fighter. I think he can hold the belt. And to be honest with you, I'm picking DDP against Khamzat Chimaev. I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's delusional. Whoa, did you see what he did to Whittaker? Yeah, I mean, Whittaker pretty much tapped because his jaw was fucked up. And his teeth caved in. I think if you had anyone in that position, probably happens the same way, like Whittaker's teeth was probably going to be undone, Sure, he got the takedown fast, sure, he got the grappling exchanges pretty fast, but, Whittaker was having success early on. We've seen Kamaru Usman survive. People forget, man, Kamaru Usman and Khamzat was this year, I feel like a lot of people are forgetting that, so I think when we're looking at a guy like DDP, like, if DDP survives the first round, which, like, that is 100%, that's a 100% DDP, After the first round, DDP's in, like, 10% mode, and he gets this, like, buff, where when he's at 10% mode, his damage is doubled, and his HP is actually increased, It's just that his gas tank is still at 10%, so he looks like shit when he fights. But even when he looks like shit, like, he did lose, like, a few rounds to Adesanya. I think he lost maybe 2 rounds to Adesanya. And he did just look like... He looked like DDP, He looked slow. He looked sloppy. Maybe not slow is the right way to explain it. But, it's DDP's performance, right? But I think he's got good chance to beat Khamzat. And if he does beat Strickland and Khamzat, Strickland obviously in the rematch... it's kind of hard to think anyone beats DDP, at middleweight, so I think DDP might actually just hold the middleweight belt for, like, at least 5 title defenses. He's already got one against Adesanya that was unjustified, about to get one against Strickland if he wins it. and then he's probably gonna get a title defense against Khamzat Chimaev. I do think Khamzat's still overrated. People forget, man. Gilbert Burns made it a fucking war with Khamzat Chimaev, and Khamzat Chimaev notoriously doesn't really operate at 100% health, 100% health, sure, he dominates everyone in round 1. Does he show up 100% health is the question, right? And I think 9 out of 10 times he doesn't. So I'd pick DDP. I think DDP's like, maybe not necessarily the style to beat Khamzat, but I think DDP's smart enough to like survive 5 minutes with Khamzat. And if he survives 5 minutes, then it becomes, okay, Khamzat's gonna survive 20 minutes with DDP, and DDP will constantly come at you, constantly. Doesn't matter what fighter you are. Doesn't matter if you're Adesanya, he's running your ass down. Doesn't matter if you're Sean Strickland, he's still blitzing in forward. So, DDP's good. He's young, too, I'm not really too worried about his chin, even though he has been knocked out before. He showcased a pretty decent chin in all of his fights. Hasn't really got knocked down in the UFC, at least. But yeah, I'd rate him very good. I think he's a very good champ. I think he's underrated. But yeah, anyways, moving on. We have Jon Jones. Interesting. Now, where do I put Jon Jones? GOAT tier. No, not on my fucking tier list. He will never get the GOAT fucking status on my tier list. Let me just preface this, right? Just in case people are confused here. No wife beaters allowed. Beaters allowed. Yeah. Yeah, we don't allow wife beaters to be in the GOAT, but I'd put him in PEDs. Didn't exist, he wouldn't be champ. Because we all know he has the most positive tests for performance-enhancing drugs in the entirety of the sport. He was also the youngest champion while on PEDs, presumably, and I know it's like, well, he didn't pop then, right? But unfortunately, so I come from the gaming world, and if you see a professional gamer have aimbot one game in scrims, there's a good likelihood he's had aimbot previously. So it's the same thing. Once a cheater, always a cheater. And then on top of the PEDs, he is just a dirty rat cheater. He eye pokes everyone, and the refs say nothing about it. The only one time he was caught doing illegal moves, finally, was when he was 12-6 elbowing, and he got DQ'd for it. Which, sure, early DQ, I get it. However, it is a loss on his record, so it is what it is, shitter. Also, he lost to Dominic Reyes, so if he wasn't on performance-enhancing drugs, he gets whooped by Reyes, whooped by Gustafsson. Gustafsson even took that fight knowing that Jon Jones was on performance-enhancing drugs in the first fight, I believe. And he still agreed to it. Giga Chad doesn't care about drugs and basically beat Jon Jones. Didn't basically beat, but if PEDs weren't there, Gustafsson would have been champ, and Jones would have been forgotten. So, it is what it is. Reyes whooped his ass. Dana White has said himself that Reyes whooped his ass. So, that's the biggest Jon Jones glazer there is. And he's saying Dominic Reyes whooped Jon Jones' ass. So, it is what it is if you want to disagree with facts. But, I know the MMA community loves to do that. But anyways, moving on. We have the next champion. Sorry, Leon Edwards. You're just... fuck off. Anyways, Islam Makhachev. Now, this might be a hot take. I'm putting Islam in very good. Now, I know what you're thinking, but he's pound for pound number 1. Is he pound for pound number 1? Is that actually, he is pound for pound number 1. Good, we know that now. Oops, you didn't see that. My bad. Anyways, the reason why I'm not putting Islam as GOAT is because while Islam is very, very good, don't get me wrong, he's very, very good. He should be dominating Dustin Poirier. And I know, I love Poirier. I give Poirier a lot more credit than a lot of other UFC fans give him. I picked him in Benoit Saint Denis versus Dustin Poirier. I've picked him in the Gaethje fights. I didn't pick him in the Islam fight, but like, this is this isn't, like, prime Poirier. You know what I mean? This is old Poirier, and Islam's making it 2-2 into the 5th. And you might say, oh, well, Islam dominated that fight. He was 1 round away from losing the fight. Okay? That is the facts. Okay? And then the fight before that was, who was it? Was it, no way it was Volk by head kick, was it? Volk by head kick, 10 days short notice. I don't put a lot of weight into that win. And then a very, very close decision against, what's his face? Volkanovski, which we saw what Ilya just did to him. No, but it's a very close decision win, where I think a lot of people are realizing, yes, Islam did win that fight by the skin of his teeth, but he did win the fight. However, he's not what on paper he should be. Better striking than Khabib, by far, not even close. Grappling, probably the same level in terms of finishing. No, I'd say he's a better finisher than Khabib. He just doesn't have the same level of dominance that Khabib had. But that's kind of like, it's more entertaining for fans to be able to finish a fight instead of taking Ally Quinta to a 5-round decision as your title fight. But, you know, how good is Ally Quinta, guys? You know, but the problem with Islam is that he looks invincible in every fight. Like, he doesn't look like this. He looked like a monster in Charles Oliveira, the title fight, where he knocked down Oliveira. That's where he looked kind of unbeatable. But ever since he won the belt, he's looked invincible in every fight. You know? Like, other than, oh, short notice, head kick Volk, congrats, I guess. That's a featherweight. Great win, I guess. You know what I mean? But I think the problem with Islam and why I just can't get, like, he's pound for pound #1, and I know why he's pound for pound #1, but he's just not the greatest champion right now, you know? Like, skill for skill, yeah, he's a great finisher. Yeah, he's good on the ground and on the feet, but he's hittable, you know? He's taking, like, old vets, or not old, yeah, old vets like Volk and Dustin Poirier to decisions. You know, didn't take Dustin Poirier to decision, but got very fucking close. You know, so it's a little hard for me to rank Islam at the GOAT. I gotta give him, I'll rate him higher than DDP, but, you know, I don't know, man. It's just, you know, I don't know. I just can't really. It's just something about every time I see Islam, it's like, I'm feeling like he's just gonna get shinned badly one day, you know? Or like, you're making it a little, you're getting wobbled by Volkanovski, you know what I mean? Like, like, I don't like that, you know? But I am still picking Islam and Arman Tsarukyan, and I think he still clears lightweight. But I'm not gonna be shocked if, like, Dan Hooker gets a rematch and somehow knocks Islam down and it's really bad and then they stop the fight. It's an early stoppage situation, you know? Like, I can so see it happening. Or he moves up and just gets KO'd by JDM, you know? Like, I can see that happening, you know? Or Ilya moves up and KOs him, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's why I'm kind of putting him in very good, where Islam, while he does look good in every fight, he looks invincible in every fight. And you have other champions on the list that I'm going to be doing where they look invincible in every fight, you know? John Jones looks like a slow old man who's very hittable by any modern day generation. If I was modern heavyweight right now, I'd be licking my lips watching Stipe versus John Jones. I'd be like, oh my god, Stipe's hitting him like that, bro? Von Volkov, yo, I'm taking John Jones to a fucking decision, alright? And I'm whooping his ass. Fucking John Jones, the eye poke king. Anyways, yeah, I just can't put Islam that high. Or so, like the highest, I guess. But, you know, I'll put him pretty high. He is very good. He's just not, he's not crazy, like, oh my god, Islam by any way he wants it. It's kind of just like, yeah, I think he'll barely beat Arman Tsarukyan, you know? Like, every fight, it seems like there's something there, you know? Like, oh, Bobby Green, short notice, you know? Oh, Oliveira, after Oliveira was doing some dumb shit, trying to go for a flying fucking knee out of nowhere, you know? Oh, Volkanovski, close decision where it's arguable either way, you know? Oh, head kick Volk, that was a 10-day short notice where Volk wasn't training, you know? And then, oh, Dustin Poirier. It was almost going to be a decision fight. And if it went to decision, Poirier could have won that fight based on the final round, you know? It's just, I don't like it. So I'm putting him in the very good. I do think he's very good. I just don't think he's, like, impossible to beat. I think there's going to be someone who finds a plan, you know? But anyways, moving on, Sean O'Malley. Unfortunately, you know, you were robbed by a certain fucking PED cheat. It is what it is. So I can't rank you right now until we get the officials back in the belt, you know? So I'm going to put O'Malley and Leon Edwards over here. But anyways, moving on, we have Pantoja. Now, Alexandre Pantoja. Now, this is going to piss people off. I'm putting him in the GOAT. I'm putting him in the GOAT. I'm putting him in the GOAT. Now, he's definitely one of the GOATs. I'm not going to say he's the GOAT, right? But he's definitely up there, you know? The top two contenders are the Brandons, and he's whooped their ass collectively 5 times, unanimously. Not close, right? And then, really, his only loss to someone in the division is, like, Davison Figueiredo. And even then, you know, it was kind of close, right? And that's not even in his division. That's the division up. My bad. I completely forgot. Davison is actually a 135er. Regardless, not only is Pantoja taking all these young up-and-comers coming from different fucking organizations and just skyrocketing title shots to Steve Erceg. I don't think the Steve Erceg was as close as a lot of people are saying. I thought Pantoja clearly won 3-2. Now, I would say that if you want to say Erceg won that fight, I just think you're really biased and you're not actually watching the fight. Because if you actually watch the fight, Erceg didn't really have, like, yes, he was landing strikes. Pantoja was landing more. And they were wobbling Erceg. And Pantoja was more dominant in every grappling situation. A little bit of a Renato Moicano, Drew Dober situation. Where it was kind of just like Drew Dober made one mistake, and that kind of costed him the round, and that kind of costed him the whole fight, and that's kind of how I felt like Erceg versus Pantoja was, where, like, Pantoja starts shooting for takedowns, and then he just gets his back taken, you know, or Pantoja just gets full mount, and it's like, why are you shooting takedowns in round 4 and 5, like, on Pantoja, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a good idea, and Pantoja, while he does look like one day he's just going to get chinned, in terms of just fighting prowess, he's got more dominant grappling than I'd say Islam Makhachev, and he's got good enough striking to whoop everyone in the flyweights division, you know? And he's whooping them. Like, it's not like it's, it's not like it's 2-2 going into the 5th with a Brandon Royval, you know? I don't even think it was 2-2 going into the 5th for Erceg. I think it was 3-1 Pantoja going into the 5th, where Erceg needed a finish, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be misremembering, but regardless, you know, Pantoja's getting the better in these striking exchanges. He's looking better overall in these fights, and while he is only getting older, he does look just dominant in all of these fights, you know? And flyweight is a high-skill division. A lot of people shit on flyweight. All the ranked flyweights are good, you know? Even fucking, like Bruno Silva, you know? Bruno Silva in flyweight is really, really good. Kaya Sakura is still pretty good, you know? My opinion is that he's more of an unranked than a ranked 14th fighter. You know, Joshua Van, a really good striker. You know, there's a lot of these guys in flyweight that are really, really good everywhere. And Pantoja is a level above them all. You know, and I think that speaks volumes, right? Like, Islam is great, but Dustin Poirier shouldn't be defending the takedowns he should be against Islam. Like, Poirier notoriously has shit takedown defense, you know? And he's got those wide hips, easy for just grabbing onto with that short reach that he has. Like, you know? Like, you should be getting down people like that easily. Pantoja makes it look easy, you know? Especially against Kaya Sakura, where he completely dominated. And I've been saying it, if you want to say, oh, that's only based off his last performance, that's his only dominant win in the last, like, couple of years, I've been saying it forever, that this guy has had dominant performances. A 3-2 decision is still a dominant performance, you know, or it can be, right? But anyways, moving on. We have the next one, Alex Pereira. No doubt about it. He goes up in the GOAT. He makes everyone look like they don't even fucking belong in MMA. His only one blemish is his entire UFC career is getting knocked out by Israel Adesanya, because it was 3-0 Alex Pereira in terms of fights. And he's like, oh, well, I got him in the same spot as I did last time, or the last 2 times I knocked this kid out, so I'm just gonna do the exact same thing, and this is gonna be an easy paycheck. Whoops, I left my hands down too low for too long. He gets caught while Israel Adesanya is not even looking where his punch is going. So, my personal opinion, I think Alex is undisputed in the GOAT tier. I think he's one of the best champions, only because his striking is so good. Like, this is why he's in the GOAT tier. His striking is so good, you can't even start grappling with him, because you gotta get past the striking first. You have to have a decent level of striking to where you can survive Alex Pereira to shoot a takedown, or you can... You can contest with him. You can't really, though. You know, even if you've got, like, the 100% effort, you're trying to knock out Pereira like Khalil was doing, he'll just sit there and wait for you to gas, you know? He's always got a good game plan going into every fight. He looks dominant in every fight. He's knocking out, like, a really active champion, knocking out former champions, regardless if they had title defenses or not. Absolutely crazy striker. Would pick him to beat John Jones. Moving on, we have Ilia Topuria. He is also going in the GOAT tier. Now, because he doesn't really have the resume as a Pantoja, while his resume is really, really good, having Volk and Max Holloway on it, those are kind of the only names that really matter. Bryce Mitchell's an okay win, but Bryce Mitchell's literally bottom 15 right now. Josh Emmett's a good win, but Josh Emmett's a really inactive old dude. Not really good on the resume. Like an Edson Barbosa, I think is a better name than Josh Emmett, just being personal. That's how I kind of see it. So, like, Ryan Hall, you know, Jai Herbert, like, not really crazy names, you know what I mean? But the fact that he has knocked out Volk, even though it is an old Volk, and then he knocked out Max, which is, like, a really good win, because obviously no one has knocked out Max, it makes him really, really good. But the Max Holloway knockout is his best thing, great thing to have, but I think Pantoja having 5 wins over the 2... This is like if Israel Adesanya was finishing Robert Whittaker, if he finished Robert Whittaker 3 times in a row, and he beat... Who was another contender? Who was another contender at middleweight? Who's someone top level? It is middleweight. And if you beat Pereira twice, I guess. You know, at the time, right? Where Pereira's not this dominant, fucking insane striker, knocking out champions left and right. You know, Pantoja's kind of in the position where it's like, well, he beat the really good striker in Brandon Royval for flyweight, and he's beat the really good grappler in Brandon Moreno. So, yeah. And, like, obviously the middleweight good grappler I'm referring to is kind of Whittaker. Whittaker's wrestling at the time was pretty good. And considering it is middleweight at the time, it's like, you know, shit division anyways. So Whittaker probably just takes down everyone and wins. You know. But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. I think Pantoja just has a slight edge for having, like, a really good career before being a champion, where Ilya is having one of the best careers as a champion. So I'd rate Pantoja a little higher than Ilya, even though I do think Ilya should win Fighter of the Year, and I do think Ilya's wins are legit, and I do think he's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet right now. I would also lump Alexander Pantoja in the thing, and if I was doing this by weight classes and putting weight into the, like, equation, obviously I'm putting Ilya above Alexander Pantoja, but I think Alejandro Pantoja is just... it's really good legacy-wise. Anyways, moving on, we have Tom Aspinall. Now, because Tom Aspinall... Now, this is really hard. In the context of heavyweight, he is here, right? In the context of heavyweight, right now. Because he's whooped everyone. Only one he hasn't beat is Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane just lost to Volkov, clearly. And Cyril Gane was out-wrestled by Francis Ngannou on one leg. And Cyril Gane got submitted by old man... John Jones, who took Stipe to almost round 4. in 2024. So, yeah, not looking good for Ciryl Gane, just being honest. But no one in the division looks like they can even touch Aspinall. Not even close, mind you. Other than maybe Volkov in a rematch, but like that's probably the best chances. And then outside of that, he just looks insane for heavyweight. But the problem is, heavyweight is very shallow. And I think I'm going to put him... here. Because we all know Tom Aspinall's the real heavyweight champion. And when John Jones retires, it will just be Aspinall rematch fucking season, right? It'll just be rematches upon rematches. Because Ciryl Gane... even if Ciryl Gane gets the fight, I think Aspinall whoops his ass. I think anyone's picking Aspinall to whoop his ass at this point in Ciryl Gane's career. And outside of that, there's no one like Spivak has lost, Volkov has lost, Curtis Blades has lost, Pavlovich has lost. Like, there's no one. Like, this dude is going to be king for a long time, right? So I think that's why I'm putting him above DDP. Because I think just, no, like, DDP, it's like, maybe Hamzat beats him, right? Maybe, like, middleweight is so shit, man. Like, who in middleweight? Like, maybe Kaiho Brahalio could do decent, right, against DDP. No one looks like they can beat Tom Aspinall. But, with that being said, heavyweight is just, like, the same people, and it's been the same people for a while now, where it is just Curtis Blades, Pavlovich, Pavlovich being, like, the newer blood, and, like, Volkov, where it's just, like, it's a shallow division, and skill for skill, all of them really are just decent strikers with, like, decent takedown defense, right? But even middleweight, I think, is a higher skill division than heavyweight. Aspinall has the skill set of a lightweight in heavyweight, and I think that's the best way to describe it. But it's just like his comp is just heavyweight, you know? So I can't really put him in the GOAT tier, because it's not like he's fighting Max Holloway in heavyweight. It's not like he's fighting a Volkanovski, Alexander the Great, you know? It's not like he's fighting a Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo, and Brandon Royval back to back to back, you know? It is just like he is fighting like a Jared Cannonier type fighter who just has a shit chin because it's heavyweight. Or not even a shit chin, but it's just heavyweight, you know what I mean? Or he is fighting the... and Jared Cannonier reference to like Curtis Blades, I guess, if we're talking about skill, you know? He is fighting like the Marvin Vittoris, where they're just dumb, big, dumb idiots, like a Marcin Tybura, you know? Stuff like that, right? So, I put Aspinall in the very good tier. No one looks like he can beat Aspinall. I can't put him in the GOAT just because his legacy isn't really there yet, you know? But there's not really much else for him to achieve. It's really weird for Aspinall. It really is. Like, he might just be the greatest heavyweight of all time, but he is in, like, the weakest era of heavyweight in terms of his level compared to everyone else's level, you know? And at least in Islam's division, it's like, you know, Sarukian could catch Islam, but, like, is it that likely? Dan Hooker could catch Islam, but is it that likely, you know? Where, like, Aspinall's, like, just king in the division, I guess. It's like, the only way Aspinall loses is probably by getting caught, same way Islam does. So I'd rate them probably the same. But I'll put Islam ahead, mainly because Islam's already got, like, a couple title defenses, and, I guess the names, division-wise, are better on Islam's record than it is for Aspinall. Personally. This is just a personal thing. Now, moving on, we have Merab Dvalishvili. He's going in. If PEDs didn't exist, he wouldn't be champ. I think it's obvious this guy's on PEDs. There's no way you have that level of cardio at the age he is with that level of back acne. Just randomly getting a resurgence of cardio midway in your career. A guy who's getting knocked out by fucking Marlon Moraes, you know? A guy who's getting really knocked out by fucking bums. His striking looks like shit, and his grappling looks terrible early on in his career. Just randomly has infinite cardio, and that's it. His striking is terrible. It's god-awful. He didn't win almost any... He landed 1 or 2 good strikes on Sean O'Malley the whole fight. Other than that, he threw like 300 strikes while he was not in range. congrats, bro. You're retarded. Sorry, you're a little duh, you know, as some Jamal Hills would say. So I can't give this little nugget boy any higher than this, to be honest. Like, I don't see how you give him any higher than he's on PEDs, you know? Like, and even if we're excluding PEDs, I do think he is just kind of shit, you know? As a champ, the only thing he has is cardio. His striking sucks. His grappling isn't dumb enough to hold anyone down on the ground for that long. He couldn't even hold Sean O'Malley on the ground that long. He just barely got takedowns at the end of rounds. And I think Sean O'Malley won that fight based on scoring criteria and based on the judges literally scoring one of the like Sean O'Malley clearly won round 5, undisputable. I think it was round 4, I think it was round 4. They gave O'Malley 2 and 5, and they didn't give O'Malley 4. But O'Malley did more in the 4th round than he did in the 2nd round. So if you're scoring the rounds and you're giving it to O'Malley in the 2nd because of damage and because of the cuts and because of busting up the nose, you then also give O'Malley the 4th. Like, I don't understand. It's just weird. It's very, very weird. Just, you know, judges clearly were paid off that night, you know? But yeah, I give Merab, definitely if PEDs didn't exist, he wouldn't be champ, because if he wasn't taking whatever drugs he's on, there's no way he's a champ. He has a pretty mid-chin. He gets wobbled in every fight. He doesn't have good striking, and his grappling sucks. Like, he's not going to get a submission on anyone ever, you know? At least Aljo could get a submission. At least Aljo could survive on the feet with a lot of people that aren't the best strikers in the UFC, you know? At least Aljo had that, you know? Merab doesn't have that. Merab doesn't have good striking that he's going to survive. Merab has striking that is dog shit until he shoots a takedown, and then he's shooting 50 takedowns. That's not a good sign that you can shoot 50 takedowns on your opponent. That means you're not securing takedowns. That means you're not doing the thing you're supposed to do as a wrestler, you know? 50 attempted takedowns isn't like, oh wow, how good is that guy? That is, oh, he's on PEDs, because no normal human being is shooting 50 takedowns in 25 minutes. It's just not possible. Like, that's not how human biology works. So he's on PEDs. If he wasn't on PEDs at the ripe age of 45 or however fucking old this dumbass is, he wouldn't be champ, like, straight up. Anyways, moving on, we have Bilal Muhammad. Man, in the context of the Shavkat fight, he probably does deserve to be here, huh? You know? Shavkat, Ian Gary, if those are the prospects in welterweight that are like, wow, these are the next up-and-comers, Bull kind of does look like he's up here, huh? You know? He does kind of look like he is just better than all the prospects. You know? Especially because Gilbert Burns can just hold JDM down for 2 rounds. So what would that be? It'd be like 10 minutes plus half of the 3rd round. If Gilbert Burns can do that, I bet a good coin that fucking Bilal Muhammad would be able to do that. But man, is he just shit? But he's not shit, is he? He did knock out Brady, but Brady didn't shoot takedowns. He does have back acne, and he is 38 years old. 37? Maybe he's 36. Could be 36 turning 37. Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. But he is Bilal. He took Gilbert Burns to a decision when Gilbert Burns had 1 arm. That was a 5-round fight. But he does have crazy back acne. And he is old. And he just randomly got a resurgence. Fuck. Is he garbage, though? I don't think he's actually that bad in hindsight. Because Leon Edwards, skill for skill, is actually pretty good. Ugh, what do I do with this fucking guy, man? What do I do with Tortilla, man? What do I do with this guy? I'm gonna give him meh. With the caveat that he could be on PEDs. Because I think there's a good chance he is on PEDs. I don't think he's natural. If you look at him like 4 years ago to him now, and I know it's like, oh, but that's 4 years. Listen though, bro, this guy's been training all of his life in combat sports, building muscle. If he is putting on that much muscle in 4 years, there's something OP with his genetics. We'll just say that. There's some sort of peak in his genetics that starts happening at 31, you know? At the age of 30, 31, which is most men's prime, he looks like a fat lightweight. And then all of a sudden, he's got massive shoulders, he's got really big chest, he's got a really nice back, with a lot of acne conveniently on it. You know, like, it's just very suspect, very suspect. But if he did a bunch of testing, while, like, surprise testing, USADA was around constantly testing him, and they all came up negative, and he did an open test himself and everything, and it was recorded, and it proved to be, or, like, it showed up wrong, it showed up, like, clean, like, he's completely clean. I wouldn't be jaw-dropped. I'd be like, yeah, I'll believe it. You know, I'd believe it. Kind of. Maybe. Kind of. I'd believe it, right? I'd be on the edge of believing it. I wouldn't believe Merab. If Merab showed a clean PED test, that's bullshit. And we know John Jones is a cheat, so he's way worse than fucking Merab. We'll just keep it a buck, right? But Bilal Muhammad, yeah, he is just like, his striking isn't that good. I know he outstruck Leon, but that Leon did look like shit. And I mean that in terms of, like, Leon would get jabbed doing the same guard position, like the Poirier elbow, forearm over elbow guard position. And Bilal would land an uppercut. And then Leon would just do it again. And then Bilal would land an uppercut. And then Leon would do it again. And Bilal landed an uppercut. So I think you get what I mean. Like, Leon did look like shit that fight. No doubt about that. So I'm not putting too much weight on that win. And I would even pick Leon in the rematch, just being honest. As long as the time's not at 6 a.m. UK time. You can call it cope or whatever, right? But, like, that's just genuinely how I feel. That fight plays differently at a normal UK time as a UK champ. But regardless, Bilal did knock out Sean Brady, and that's kind of, like, noteworthy, I think. Because Sean Brady's been looking good. He's been looking dominant in the grappling, but he didn't shoot takedowns on Bilal, so that's kind of the question. Who is the better grappler, you know? But I do think, like, I don't think Bilal does lose his next fight guaranteed 100%, right? I could say that for John Jones. Not 100% for Merab. But, like, Bilal's just not that good. Like, his grappling's only good because he's picking people up and illegally dunking them on their head. Outside of that, he didn't out-grapple Gilbert Burns with one arm, you know? And then, who else did he fight? Who was it that he fought before Burns? I don't even remember who he fought before Burns. Regardless, in the Leon fight, yeah, he got the takedowns, and yeah, he was out-striking Leon, but, like, you know? Like, it wasn't like, oh my god, his striking's so elite. He just kept on using a jab. And a good jab is pretty much all you need as a champ. Strickland proved that, but I don't know. I don't think I can rate him even close to the level of these guys. You know what I mean? Like, I think DDP smokes Bilal. Like, I don't even think that fight's fucking close. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna put Bilal here in the meh category. But, yeah. These are all the champs in 2024. I definitely think the GOATs are debatable. You can put probably anyone above the rest. This is kind of just the order I would give them. I think Pereira's his striking is so elite that no one can even test him on the ground. So that's something to be said. I think Pantoja's record is very, very, very good, and there's not really much else he can accomplish in his division. I think Ilia Topuria is absolutely a savage, but he doesn't have enough skin in the game to really be considered better than these guys, in my opinion. just because he doesn't have enough skin in the game. I think Islam is really, really good, just barely outside of the GOAT tier, because he does look invincible, and he does look not beatable, but there's always a caveat in every fight. I think Tom Aspinall is having a problem where there's not enough competition for him. I think DDP is really, really good, and has really good odds against young up-and-comers. I think Bilal is kind of meh, and could be on PEDs, and if he is on PEDs, I'm not going to be surprised, but assuming he's not on PEDs, even though it's a crazy glow-up at the ripe old age of 36, that's just not how muscles work, because testosterone starts declining after the age of 30, but okay, it is what it is. Yeah, it's just weird glow-up, but okay. But yeah, Bilal is his wrestling's good. And maybe he beats Shavkat. He definitely beats Ian Gary. Maybe he beats JDM. Like, he's got decent odds, but I'd still probably pick them. And then PED cheat, scumbag, piece of shit, wife beating, pregnant women hitting, closeted gay at gay bars, John Jones. He is by far one of the worst PEDs cheats we've ever seen, and he would never be a champ without PEDs. I think that's what we learned in the Stipe fight. Then Merab is 100% on PEDs. Nothing can change my mind. Just because the only thing he's good at is cardio. So if he didn't have PEDs in his arsenal and he didn't have that cardio, Merab would suck ass. He would get knocked out every fight. That'd just be guaranteed. You know? It is what it is. But regardless, those are my rankings of... this is my tier list of the 2024 champions. This is where I put all of them. Yeah, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, I daily upload if you're new around here, so, you know, feel free to drop a subscribe, hit that notification bell, and as always, I hope you guys have a good day and a Merry Christmas.